Bills made it to the Final Eight for the third straight year and lost the year before that. They made it to the AFC Championship. Yesterday, there was the end-of-season press conferences. Sean McDermott, the coach, Brandon Beane, the GM. One of the things that came up was Stefon Diggs, who was in, to put it mildly, a slump the second half of the season. Here's a collection of comments from various folks about that slump into which Stefon Diggs slipped.
Steph's a great player. I love Steph, and he was a phenomenal teammate, and so I like how the offense found some rhythm though under Joe, and Steph got back involved again at times there, especially down the stretch, and I think at least in the last 2 of 3 games, so to speak.
He's a number one receiver. I firmly believe that. I'm not wavering off of that. I think teams, listen, we have to continue to put weapons out there to keep teams from bracketing him or, locking him down in different ways to take him away. They know you're going to want him. So Steph can still play. I'm sure he would love to have that, that deep ball again. He'd be the first to tell you. He's super competitive. He's going to work his tail off this offseason, and I know there's various reasons or questions on this, there's production, all that, but I still see Steph as a number one receiver.
Yeah, that's my brother. You'll never catch me saying anything other than positive things. He's been such a catalyst for this team and this offense over the last 4 years. He's done just things that I can't thank him enough for in my career. So, yeah.
That last comment from Alan was kind of weird. You never catch me saying anything other than positive. That implies that he does say it. He just does it discreetly.
I hear you. I thought the same thing.
Fallout would be
right.
If he said anything. Like, why would you say, that just was a weird, gratuitous remark that creates confusion. And one last thing before we move on, and this is very important. This is extremely important as it relates to the Sean McDermott press conference. As soon as I started watching that, the first thing I thought of is he's wearing the shirt that Creed gave to Jim in Secret Santa in season 2 of The Office. Do we have the photo of the Sean McDermott shirt? Because, Chris, I don't know if you've seen the episode.
I have not.
But Creed basically pulled an old shirt out of his closet and stuck it in a bag and gave it to Jim.
Right.
There's the shirt that Creed took out of his own closet and gave to Jim for Secret Santa, and here's the Sean McDermott shirt. So you could see why I would think. As soon as I saw that shirt, I thought that's the shirt that Creed gave to Jim, although the sleeves do go all the way down to the wrists on Sean McDermott. They did not make it to the wrists on Jim. Anyway, very important, high-level stuff.
Very high level.
That's why you watch his show. For the highest level football analysis possible. By the way, my son told me, season 7 of The Office, the Superfan extended episode is now available on Peacock as well. So even more you get for your $5.99 that you were complaining about not that long ago. That, $5.99 to watch a football game. There's a lot more than $5.99. Anyway, enough of that. Stefon Diggs, is he still a number one receiver?
Yeah, well, he is. He is a number one receiver. No, listen, I don't think the offense necessarily suits him. That'd be the first thing I would say. Stefon Diggs is a route runner. That's his best thing. He is not go gadget. I got 3 rockets up my ass and I'm going to catch a slant and run 70 yards for a touchdown, right? He rarely is the guy that, hey, I'm going to throw you a 70-yard bomb down the field. And the other night, again, he was matched up against a safety 60 yards down the field when he dropped that ball. It wasn't even a corner, right? So that, but yes, why he had his best success was with what? Brian Daboll. Daboll from New England, they really understand routes and how to do that stuff and teach it and believe in building plays around guys like Wes Welker or Julian Edelman who are incredible route runners, and they find a niche with them in the offense. Stefon Diggs is more along those lines rather than superstar take the game over type of guy. And their offense right now is a little bit like run like, hey, it's superstar take over the game kind of guy. It's not surgical, as we know, right? And so they play an offense where it's a little bit like we want to throw the ball deep down the field, except there's not guys that can run deep down the field. And let's not forget, Joe Brady did a good thing, but you heard me say teams kind of caught on. You saw the other night, the Chiefs were all over their stuff. 100%. There's a reason Joe Brady only lasted a half a year as the Carolina Panthers OC. I mean, again, so that offense is not perfect for him. Where I will say he's a number one wide receiver, sure. But is he an elite number one wide receiver? I think that's totally fair to question. I mean, I can rattle off a whole bunch of receivers that I think most people in the world would take over Stefon Diggs when you really go through it. I mean, again, here's just a few. I mean, we know you're taking Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill, probably taking Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, probably taking Devontae Smith over him. At least I am in my book. DJ Moore, no doubt about it. Probably both 49ers wide receivers. Mike Evans, how about Jamar Chase? Maybe T. Higgins even over him. Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. I mean, you can kind of go on and on a little bit with other guys that you go, ooh, I think it's kind of close between him there too. So, like the days of him being a number one, oh, he gets doubled and they're worried about him all the time, or we're going to put our best corner on him, that doesn't really happen. That's not who he is. Look at the play the other night, Mike. Mike, you remember the play where Josh Allen threw the ball in the end zone, incomplete, late, right? Diggs is wide open underneath. Let me here's now he's open. He should have hit it. Now, I mean, he could have thrown to him. He gets hit as he's throwing this ball, everybody. Shakir, he's going to throw a touchdown here. But as he's throwing, his left tackle is hitting him because he's getting pushed back. But when we re-rack this, I want you to watch again, Mike, and just let this play one more time if you can, guys. They are doubling Shakir and the receiver at the bottom of the screen and not Stefon Diggs here. Just so you know. 27 and 22 on your left are doubling Shakir down the middle of the field. The two guys on the right doubled the receiver on the right. So there's the Kansas City Chiefs, the best defense in football and one of the biggest moments of the game. And they weren't like, oh, let's double Stefon Diggs, right? They went, no, we're not worried about him. He doesn't deserve that type of special attention. Now, he's really damn good. I know that. But I'm just saying he's not a superstar like some of the other guys we know in football right now.
They didn't even have a guy on him. They had two guys in zone.
No,
it looked like.
exactly right. They were letting a linebacker
just letting him run free underneath.
Right. I know. And again, we know we got in this conversation a little bit the first time they played the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You know, he talked about being doubled, and I think it was Justin Reed added you on Twitter and said, the thing is we never doubled him the whole game. And, you know, again, he gets favored. Certainly teams are aware of him, and they throw clouds over him. But to think it's like, oh, we're going to double him like it's Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or Odell Beckham Jr. in their prime, absolutely not. And that's where I don't think the offense fits right now, and it feels weird around the whole situation with Buffalo and Stefon Diggs. I'm going to be very interested to see where it all goes.
Based upon the game book from Chiefs-Bills divisional round, Stefon Diggs was on the field for 90% of the offensive plays. That percentage led all receivers on the Bills. He was on the field 15 more snaps on offense than Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
Shakir was targeted more times than Diggs. He was targeted 9 times. Diggs was targeted 8 times, even though Diggs was on the field 15 snaps more than Shakir. And Shakir had 7 catches on 9 targets for 44 yards. And he would have thrown in that last one. Should have been 8 catches on 9 targets. And not just 44 yards, 74 yards, and 2 touchdowns instead of 1. Diggs on 8 targets had 3 catches for 21 yards on the night. So something's off with Diggs and the Bills. And it raises the question, just like we talked about earlier with Jalen Hurts. Is Stefon Diggs going to want out? But the problem is, what do you do about that contract? When he's getting paid toward the top of the market with an extension they gave him a couple of years ago, was kind of a correction because all the other great receivers were getting great contracts. What do you do about this? How do you deal with this? Where is the team that's going to say, we can take Stefon Diggs, pay him as a number 1 receiver, and he'll be our number 1 receiver as opposed to someone else? Especially at the time, Chris, when every year, what are we seeing in the NFL? We're seeing more and more great receivers come out.
Exactly.
Like running backs now.
Right.
There's so many guys who can catch the ball. So I'm going to pay a guy who's 30 who seems to be fading.
Right.
Frankly, and we love Stefon Diggs. This is difficult for us because we love Stefon Diggs.
He's awesome, dude.
He seems to be fading.
Right.
His contract doesn't justify the production or the performance or the attention he's getting from opposing defenses. Why are we going to trade for him when we could just draft a guy, take our chances, and if we get it wrong, the financial investment is minimal?
No, I think those are fair questions. They are. And, I think we're in my perfect world where if I'm the Bills and, if they decide to stay with him, and like we saying, he's still number one. It's just not superstar take over the game number one. I don't think you anymore put him in the top half of the league in the number one categories there, right? But I think what
you rattled off more than top half of the league.
I know.
You rattled off a lot of names, and you didn't mention Cooper Kupp.
I exactly right. I didn't because he was kind of banged up this year, and I kind of left him off. And you're right, I didn't mention him. And there's a few others I didn't mention that I think are worthy of hey, you get into Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave and some other guys where you go, whoa, they make a lot of big game changer type of plays. Who would you rather have, right? But that's where I get back into how they use him. And if they're going to keep Joe Brady or if they're going to move on to another offensive coordinator, they got to find more plays and routes and things and stuff that fit him. That's where his value is. And then go out in the draft or free agency and get that speed guy, the guy we're talking about that can maybe catch a slant and go 60 yards or run by the defense for a 50-yard bomb and a touchdown. And then that will also make Stefon Diggs look a whole lot better too. Right. The other thing is he doesn't have a whole lot of other things in that offense that back people off of him or take the bright lights off of him all the time. As we've said a million times in the past, it's the Josh Allen show. And then after that, it becomes, okay, yeah, Stefon Diggs. And as we're trying to tell people here, it's not like, he's the guy that can take over the game anymore in that capacity.
The Chiefs, as we've already said, don't defend him the way that we would assume that they did. He had made the comment, he's getting double-teamed all the time. They didn't double-team him when they played earlier this year. This is Trent McDuffie. He said, I feel like what they were doing, they were trying to run the ball. They put big personnel in. I think they figured we were going to double him tonight, which we didn't. L'Jarius Sneed, last seen manhandling Tyreek Hill in the wild card round, said of Diggs, he knew what was up. He knew he wasn't going to get the ball a lot. He wasn't frustrated. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.